So it's Friday, so it's time for Poets. Some of us know that as Push Off Early, tomorrow's Saturday, but in this context it's the Perioperative Enhancement team. Inspired by Dr. Sol Aronson and the team at Duke, a selection of clips to get us thinking about the next steps in providing world-class perioperative care. You'll find the full lectures in our back catalogue, or join us at the upcoming Perioperative Practicum for expert discussions, business case tips and hands-on workshops. Go to www.ebpom.org and look for our international programme of perioperative practicums. Top Bed Talk.
Desiree, Chappell and Joff Lacey are presenting here with their guest, Professor Gerard Danjoux, consultant in anaesthesia and sleep medicine at South Tees Hospital's NHS Foundation Trust, and Dr. Mark Edwards, consultant in anaesthesia and perioperative medicine at the University Hospital in Southampton, the NHS Foundation Trust.
Jerry, you mentioned Prepwell.
Yeah.
So can you tell us about that initiative and how that's working on the ground?
Yeah, so Prepwell is a health and well-being program which we've modelled on cardiac rehabilitation, and we've integrated with the leads from cardiac rehabilitation at York University. And basically what we've done is transposed core elements of their model to the preoperative setting. And we're taking patients as early as possible who have evidence of unhealthy lifestyle behaviours. They're inactive, they smoke, they drink more than government recommended unit, or their healthcare professionals just feel they would benefit from prehabilitation. And they come into the programme. It's community based and it's run by Esther Carr, who's our project manager. She's an ex-cardiac rehab physiotherapist. And Esther works with the health trainers at the gym, and we're providing a one-stop facility for a minimum of 4 to 6 weeks, pre-surgery, where patients come in, they have supervised exercise twice a week, but they also have one-stop access under the same roof to smoking cessation, alcohol reduction and nutritional support. And we're also providing psychological support. Esther is also a yoga instructor and is into mindfulness.
Fantastic.
So we're able to offer kind of mindfulness support for patients preoperatively. And we've got expedited diagnostics for patients who are suspected of having problems like obstructive sleep apnea. Obviously that ties in with my interest in sleep medicine.
Yeah.
That's known to be a cause for concern with surgery and adverse outcome. So traditionally, if somebody you thought at pre-op assessment had OSA, they may have ultimately a delay of up to 6 months before they could have their non-cancer or non-urgent surgery. We're able to do a diagnostic from the original entry evaluation and get patients on CPAP within 2 weeks. So that's cut a huge swathe of time out of that pathway.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Can I just ask you, so the programme's 4 to 6 weeks?
It's a minimum of 4 to 6 weeks.
And I know many people listening will say, well, a lot of my patients are cancer patients. There's an expedited patient pathway.
Yeah.
Can you make a difference in those 4 to 6 weeks? Does the evidence show that you can do enough to... well, maybe not the evidence to say if it improves outcome or not, but certainly can we improve cardiorespiratory fitness in that time?
So yeah, I was asked this question at the end of the talk, and it is patient-specific, population-specific, but the minimum time period that is thought to be effective is 4 weeks. But the important thing is the major benefits are made from being sedentary to mildly or moderately active. Right. So we're not trying to turn people into a Froome or a Wiggins here, however that might be done. We're trying to get people to do some activity from not doing anything before. And that seems to be where the biggest benefits are accrued.
Avoiding the sedentary lifestyle as opposed to...
Is it for all surgical patients? Like, what is is there a specific patient population that this works the best for, or can this be generalized for the entire surgical population?
So to start with, within Prepwell, we're targeting more complex or major surgical procedures because the risk of an adverse outcome is higher in those groups. But we've also, excitingly, got a grant from Sports England, and we're looking to scale this project up locally so that it's available on a stratified pathway to different patient groups. So not everybody will want to come to a gym before surgery. Yeah. So there may be park walks, there may be just use of green spaces and other things. And I'm working with public health representatives locally to really broaden this out across the local area. So we're really excited about that opportunity as well.
Yeah, Mark.
Can I just ask, Jerry? I mean, I think exercise feels like it's got to this stage, as a lot of things do, where there's a huge amount of interest on the ground, and for years I've had sort of surgeons saying, we should exercise these patients, that sort of thing. So there's obviously a great kind of willingness on the ground to actually try it and do it. Where do you think, how do we make that interest and that kind of motivation to engage in these sorts of programs work with also building the evidence base? Because obviously I work in Southampton with a team that are very engaged in still looking at kind of randomising patients to one arm or the other, and just seeing if we can kind of build up that evidence base to support it as an intervention. But obviously, meanwhile, there is interest elsewhere in actually, look, let's just get on and do it. Let's package it with some other interventions we think. How do we make that work together for everyone, do you think?
Well, I think, from the model you've described in the Wessex, the WesFit project that Mike and Sandy Jack are running. My understanding is that they've got two arms to that. There's also an implementation arm to that they're working with NHS England on. So that's a really positive way to do it. I think it is important. We are aware that there's large clinical trials going on in colorectal surgery, Prepare ABC. There's also a pan-European study going on. So it is important to use the outcomes, but I think in tandem with that, it is important to also have clinical implementation projects, because we all know scenarios where you've got a strong evidence base, but translating that into clinical practice is a challenge. And through the implementation work we're doing, we're also supporting that with an evidence base. But I think the two have to go hand in hand, so that when we reach the tipping point, if you like, everything does have a tipping point, and I hope we're getting there soon, that there's evidence that patients will engage and they'll come along from the implementation work, but at the same time the evidence base grows from all of the other larger studies that are going on, and then we're able to almost make an overwhelming case that this is a good thing to do on a much larger translational scale.
Yeah, well, so kind of wrapping it up, that's one of the messages that we're hearing now, is that we have to do those in tandem to really, get the evidence base there, but also be able to apply it on every day. Because it doesn't matter, we can have all the evidence in the world, but if we're not using it in practice, it really, and people revert to dogma, it doesn't
it's kind of a bit like action research.
Yeah.
So, you can have different models of research, and building action research into your implementation work is one way of actually doing that.
Yeah. No, that's great. Thank you so much. Jerry, can you give us an idea for the listeners where they can visit the Prepwell sites? Because I know a lot of people love to have models to be able to use in their own practice. So.
Yeah, so there's, for anybody interested in the GP toolkit, that's available at prepwell.co.uk. And if they go into Google and put South Tees Prepwell, they'll find some more information about the project on the hospital website.
Thanks for downloading and listening to Top Med Talk. Don't forget to find us on social media. We're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, even got our own YouTube channel. Whichever your favourite social media feed is, we're bound to be there. Find us. Also, subscribe to this podcast so that you never miss an episode. And make sure you go to the Top Med Talk website, topmedtalk.com, and get on board with the email updates. Oh, whilst you're at it as well, I suggest you download our entire back catalogue. We're categorising it at the moment. We're having a little look through it. It may not always be in the form that you currently find it. So if you get your hard drive ready for a full-on download via the website perhaps, or perhaps through your podcatcher. Oh, and if you fancy meeting us, why not go to the website ebpom.org/meetings. Our next big event is EBPOM USA, the Dallas Masters Course, a perioperative care practicum. Have a look for details of that and some of the other meetings coming up across the next year. ebpom.org/meetings.